Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.
Hello, this is Ken Dekker.
And I'm Ryan Dekker.
And we're excited to be with you and welcome you to another episode of Life's Inside Track, where we share techniques, tips, thoughts, tools, and that we all need, we all deserve, you, I, everyone, to turn our house into home where our families thrive and we live the best life possible. Today, Ryan, we're going to talk about the homesteading. We're going to consider, is more space required for gardening for the average person?
To start your homesteading journey, it's become a really popular topic, especially, YouTube seems to target. And because this is something I'm passionate about, I feel like I get, videos on homesteading and gardening and raised beds and, so many topics. So today's going to be a bit of a general, overview. And
I think that's because you look at those items. So then it knows what you're interested in, and the algorithm is just firing videos, because I don't get videos on farming.
I get like so many, which is great because that's what I love. And as we talk about, housing and what's required to kind of start this journey, why would you want to start this journey with the current climate and health? And there's so many reasons.
So here's the question.
Yeah.
What got you interested are you a millennial?
I don't know what I am. I think I am. Yeah.
As a younger person, what, you got into business and finance, and then you're got into real estate investing. You help a lot of our clients with their projects, their homes, buying investment properties, that kind of thing, renting out properties.
Yeah.
And then you even started buying investment properties and building wealth through that. And then you decided to take a
bit of a turn.
What was the decision on the pivot there?
Yeah, so the original pivot was my health wasn't great. I was really struggling with a lot of things. We won't go into that today, but something needed to shift. And one of those things was to get outside and get in the earth, get more, and I know this is a weird word, but grounded. I mean, we always have shoes on. We're always indoors. We're in climate controlled environments. And there's something about getting out there barefoot in the soil, with, your hands in the dirt. It just does something. God didn't create us with shoes on. He created us in a garden. And I think going back to that has huge benefits spiritually, emotionally, and physically.
Okay, so you felt a lot better since you've gotten into gardening.
Yeah.
And how did you get your start? Because you were in the city. Did you do any gardening when you had the house in the city?
No. When I lived in the city, I was quite young. No gardening at all. And then when we moved to more country, we had about an acre. We actually let our neighbors garden on our property because they had smaller lots. And so for free, we let them come and they could, garden away and do their thing. And then when we moved to a smaller house is actually when I started gardening.
Okay, but it's interesting. Did you not have, when you bought that triplex, did you not have an asparagus patch?
There was asparagus. There were currants.
Somebody else had planted.
There were raspberries.
Did you eat any of that?
We did.
Okay.
We ate those, but we didn't start that journey. So someone started it for us and it was awesome. And I remember when my kids were little, we had this path near our house to the library. And my wife would walk the kids and there was all these berries every summer, raspberries, blackberries. And she would spend hours with the kids just picking berries for free down the trail.
Down the trail.
So I guess that was the first experience of the love of fresh, produce and getting to experience that.
Okay. And then, so then you moved, you said, to a smaller lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it was like a third of an acre,
Okay. And what got you into doing stuff there?
And, my sister, who's heavy into gardening at this point, they decided to build some.
That's Candace.
That's Candace.
Candace St. Louis, who's also a member
realtor on the team
of our team.
Yeah.
Your sister, my daughter.
Yeah.
And she heavily got into gardening.
Heavily, and they invested in raised beds, but they bought their boxes too high, so they had to cut some of that metal. So with the scrap metal, I started my journey with raised beds, and I had 6 the first year, 8 the second year, 4 by 10 foot long beds for gardening.
Okay.
Which is a lot of space. You don't necessarily need that much.
Right. So if somebody was saying, hey, where could they get their start?
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, the start can be as simple as having one tomato plant on your balcony in a pot. Like that can get your start, getting your fresh vegetables. If you're in like a condo or something, you can still get, some of this fresh veg.
Mm-hmm. And now you might be thinking, well, maybe I do want to maybe look at changing my property. And so this would be a great time to have an annual equity review of your property. And we would come in and give you an evaluation on your property so you know how much equity is there, but also whether it makes sense to move or just utilize the space you have. So we're talking homesteading, but homesteading has different levels, right? And you can take it to the extreme. And we're not going to get into all that little nitty gritty.
The big nitty gritty.
Yeah. So you use raised beds.
Yeah. So we started with raised beds.
And what were you growing?
Oh, I loved our tomatoes because they did phenomenally well. And what you'll find is depending on the earth, depending on your sun, depending on what you're good at, certain vegetables and fruits will just do amazing for you. So strawberries do amazing for me. Tomatoes do amazing for me. And then certain years, like cabbage did amazing my first year. And since then, I just get tons of bugs. So I stay away from cabbage unless I'm able to wrap it. I didn't answer your question at all.
No,
I got too excited.
Well, so you tried a variety of things.
I tried a ton of things, shotgun approach, and then found the ones that worked really, really well for my family, that we ate more of, that we could save in the freezer longer.
And if you're interested in, what items to plant together, just Google it, right? Go on to YouTube. Yeah. It tells you which plants thrive together. Sometimes we plant flowers that repel bugs that like the vegetables that we're planting. So we put flowers and vegetables together. Yeah. And some vegetables, they contaminate the soil for another type of vegetable. So you want to keep them apart. And so learning those few tricks and tips of the trade can really make a difference. Now, I love the raised beds. And we actually started doing gardening. Candace, I think, started it all off.
She started it all off. She got the ball rolling with the raised
she's
beds.
Got a lot of gardens. We have a couple raised gardens. And what I like is the rabbits don't go in them.
They don't go in them. It's easier. You don't have to kneel down. You're not, getting your face in the dirt. Like it's a lot easier and more comfortable with raised beds.
That's true. Ours have a 5.5-inch sill on the top. Yeah. So you can actually sit your butt down on it
as you're weeding away.
Pick the weeds. And I don't know, it just seems like they get less weeds when they're up there.
So they definitely have less weed pressure. And the other thing with raised beds is you're able to create density of planting. And so there's no room for the weeds to establish. What happens is when you have bare soil, the weeds just take off. And so having a raised bed, one, you're not getting the roots in, but two, you're able to do more dense planting and have them kind of grow over the sides, and you don't have that weed pressure.
Fantastic, yeah. So I guess the question is, what can you do with the space that you have existing so that maybe you want to move, but maybe you don't want to move. Maybe you just want to dabble in it, get your I was going to say your fingers wet, but your fingers dirty. Get into a little bit of soil. And we're honored to be positioning you to build wealth wisely, because it's about much more than just the money.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.